this is Sweetly. I will be introducing you to our latest character in the limited banner, Jingliu. After testing with her on various teams, I believe she is the strongest E0 character currently in the game, and I highly recommend pulling for her and her Lightcone. In this video, I will go over how her skills work, how to build her, and which teams you can play her on. Spoilers, 4-piece ice set is not her best set, so if you don't have any good pieces yet, you're in luck. Also, her skill animations are also amazing, especially the ulti where she stares into my soul. Jingliu is an Ice-type destruction character that mainly deals damage during her spectral transmigration state, or her OP state as I like to call it, and this is activated after she obtains 2 Syzygy stacks. During combat, Jingliu gains 1 Syzygy stack from both her normal skill and ultimate. When she transforms, she is action advanced by 100%, gains an insane 50% crit rate, and up to 180% extra attack. This is very easily maxed by ensuring your other 3 allies have at least 10.5k combined max HP. During her OP state, Jingliu also unlocks an enhanced skill which she can use for 0 skill points, but it will cost you 1 Syzygy stack each time. And while her attacks during this time will drain all your allies' HP, it's a very small amount. When she runs out of Syzygy stacks, she will revert back to her normal state. All things considered, Jingliu is very broken in terms of her numbers. Let's take a look at her individual attacks. Jingliu's basic attack does very little damage, does not gain you any stacks, and should never be used. Jingliu's normal skill is a single target one-hit attack that deals 2 units of break and is what you will be almost exclusively using to build stacks for transformation. Unlike other character skills, it only gives 20 energy. Jingliu's enhanced skill, which activates after entering her OP state, is a blast-type 5-hit attack that makes up most of her overall damage. The attack deals 2 units of break to the primary target and 1 unit of break to adjacent targets. This attack does not consume skill points but will consume 1 Syzygy stack each time and will generate 30 energy. Jingliu's ultimate is a blast-type 1-hit attack that deals 2 units of break to both the primary and adjacent targets. While it does give you 1 stack of Syzygy, you should usually only use this after she enters the OP state to extend the duration and to ensure you have all the buffs active for the attack itself. Her Ascension Trace specifically gives the ultimate an extra 20% damage if it's cast during the OP state. So generally, your Jingliu rotation will look something like this. The exception is when you're going for a finishing hit and just want to transform quicker so you can finish them off. Jingliu's technique creates an icy field that has an 100% base chance to freeze enemies and should retain this effect even after swapping characters, and it applies to each wave. When entering combat with enemies in the dimension, Jingliu starts with 1 stack of Syzygy and 15 extra energy, so you should always use her technique before entering combat. In terms of traces, Jingliu is the first character to have speed traces. Her base speed is 96, but her traces give her 9 extra speed, so you will only need to look for 2 more speed rolls on your relics when paired with speed boots to reach the 134 speed breakpoint. So you should always try to hit 134 on Jingliu. Jingliu also gains 37.3 extra crit damage from her traces, which is the highest out of all the current characters. Her 3 big traces are all useful, and you will want to unlock and max everything aside from her basic attack. I would prioritize talent equals skill greater than or equal to ulti. Here is a chart showcasing her Lightcone options and their approximate damage differences. Jingliu's best Lightcone by far is her signature Lightcone, and I highly recommend pulling for one if you're going for Jingliu. If we look at Jingliu's kit, she comes with a lot of extra crit rate, attack percent, and along with the extra crit damage from her traces, the one multiplier she really lacks in compared to other DPSs is bonus damage. Her Lightcone greatly helps and synergizes perfectly with her. During Jingliu's OP state, as long as you have 3 other allies alive on the field, the life drain always happens before the attack hits, so all of her attacks will have the full 3-stack buff of 42% bonus damage, along with an extra 12% defense penetration. While the Lightcone is insane, it really only works well on Jingliu. I tried it out on Blade, but unfortunately, consuming your own HP does not give you any stacks. For Jingliu's relics, I actually recommend 4-piece quantum over 4-piece ice, unless you have a great 4-piece ice already, as the defense ignore on the quantum set plus her signature Lightcone plus Pella makes it such that with the same substats, your Jingliu will do 7% more damage versus the ice set against quantum weak enemies, and only around 2% less damage when fighting non-quantum weak enemies. Any 2+2 will be strictly worse than 4-piece quantum with the same substats. Weathering Snow is also a great defensive set, so the Quantum Cavern is better to farm in general if you're missing her relics and farming from scratch. However, unlike other multipliers, defense down does cap at 100%, so if you're running Jingliu with Silverwolf and Pella, you should bring the 4-piece ice set. For her planar ornaments, Arena is the best set since 60% of her damage comes from her enhanced skill. Since Jingliu's kit comes with a lot of extra attack percent, you'll definitely want ice damage boost for this sphere. And you do not need an ERR rope as Jingliu already has an almost perfect rotation by herself. And since you don't really want to ever use Jingliu's ultimate outside of her OP state, having her ultimate up earlier also doesn't benefit you most of the time. One important thing to keep in mind is that even though Jingliu does have a higher starting crit rate of 63%, you should aim for at least 90% plus post-transformation, especially if your Jingliu is sitting at 200 plus crit damage. 1 to 2 crit damage ratio is always desirable. In terms of the Eidolons, here is a chart showing the Jingliu Eidolon comparisons. The E1's extra crit damage here is equivalent to around 6 to 8% damage increase overall, but when there is only one enemy, the E1 becomes an insane 40% damage increase. However, if you really think about it, rarely do you ever encounter one enemy at once, so honestly, you're not going to be really getting that much value unless you really like bullying Yanqing or Kafka. But it is a nice Eidolon to have if you have extra stellar jades for those situations. Here are the general guidelines for Jingliu team building. Make sure your other 3 allies' max HP adds up to at least 10.5k. If you have Bronya, bring Bronya. She is the #1 support by far. If you don't have Bronya, hopefully you'll have a Team Wing since she is in Jingliu's banner. E0 works fine. For your 3rd slot, you'll ideally want Pella, and then your last slot will be your sustain of choice. The #1 team for Jingliu by far is the Jingliu plus Bronya comp. In addition to giving Jingliu more bonus damage, crit damage, and some more attack percent, Bronya lets Jingliu take 2 turns back to back, greatly shortening the downtime in between her OP states, and effectively doubling Jingliu's damage over the same time frame compared to all the other supports. Here is what a Bronya rotation looks like when you enter MOC with Jingliu's technique. The main thing to remember is to speed tune Bronya to be just slower than Jingliu and save both their ultis for when Jingliu is in her OP state. One downside to the Bronya team, however, is the lack of skill points. With the E0 S0 Bronya, you are on average -2 skill points per Jingliu Bronya combo turn, so your other 2 allies will need to mostly basic attack to generate enough skill points to keep up. Hala will be your best option here, and I recommend putting her on S5 tutorial Lightcone so she can 2-turn ulti with just basic attacks. If you happen to have Pella's E4 but the ice resist down, you can look for opportunities to use her skill when you have extra skill points. Bronya is the best healer in this situation, but other healers can work as well as long as you're able to heal back without using skill points. If you don't have a Bronya or she is needed elsewhere, you will want to use Team Wing. While her attack percent buff is not that impactful for Jingliu, her energy regen and bonus damage on her ulti is. The fun thing you can do with Team Wing plus Jingliu is that you can time Team Wing's ultimate right before and during Jingliu's OP state to allow Jingliu to ulti twice and land a total of 4 enhanced skills versus the usual 3. In the event you don't have Bronya or Team Wing, your best alternative is to pair Silverwolf with Pella and Fushen, Lynx, or Gepard. Silverwolf and Pella should give you 100% defense down on enemies in this case. So for this particular team, Jingliu should ideally be on 4-piece ice set or 2+2. A quick tip, if you're using Fushen or Gepard as your sustain and you find your team dying, switching your supports to 4-piece Weathering Snow should help quite a bit. In closing, Jingliu has been one of my long-awaited characters and is probably the closest we will get to my favorite character in Genshin. While her numbers are overtuned, she does have some downsides. She cannot maintain 100% uptime on her OP state, and she is a lot weaker in solo environments since both her attack percent buff and her Lightcone stacks rely on her being able to drain 3 other allies in your party. But honestly, these are very small downsides, and you should probably pull for her and just enjoy obliterating everything. Team Wing is also in her banner, so good luck and don't break your neck. I mean your wallet. Thank you for watching, and remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if the video helped or if you have any questions.